Dang. Hi there. What's going on? What are you doing? Have fun today, mister? How you guys doing? My name is Blade. This right here is my son Jimmy, kind of just doing his own thing. In this video, we're going to go over everything that happened last week in the NFL and then make some potentially awful predictions for next week in the NFL. I'm going to keep a record right here to show how bad I did with last week's predictions. If the number is green, that means I got a prediction right. If I got a prediction wrong, that number will be red. You ready? Let's get into it.
Holy Toledo!
Thursday, we had the Cowboys and the Giants for Flag Fest. I predicted the Cowboys to win this one, but I was surprised at how close the Giants kept it. The Giants hit first after a decent drive, putting up 3. The Cowboys responded a little bit later in the first with a touchdown that was almost called back due to a flag, but that flag was picked up. The Giants would kick another field goal in the second to cut the lead down to 1, followed by a Cowboys response with a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. Then the Giants would kick another set of field goals, making it 14-12. This was followed by the Cowboys extending their lead by 3. Riveting stuff, I know. To end the game, the two teams would exchange field goals, giving us the final score of 2015. Decent year. Then starting us off on Sunday, the Saints played the Falcons. I predicted the Saints to win here, but
Big Kirkle wakes up dripping like this.
and made this a difficult game for the Saints, something I also said was going to happen. This game was a battle that saw the Falcons take the dub. The Falcons scored first with a muff punt, setting the tone for the game. I also love how the camera cuts to the punter here. That's kind of weird. The Saints responded with a touchdown of their own, then they extended that lead after a Kirk Cousins interception. The Falcons responded in the second with a field goal and an interception, giving them the lead. And another couple field goals at the end of the third and the start of the fourth, but that's boring, so who cares? Then, a bit late in the fourth, the Saints would take the lead with a touchdown. With a minute left, the magic of Clutch Kirk was proved strong, and the Saints would march into the field goal range to win on a walk-off field goal, ending the game 24-26. The Bengals played the Panthers. I kind of threw caution to the wind here and said Panthers dub because I thought it would be funny, and we almost got it. The Bengals did come out with the win, but this game was closer than expected. The Bengals put up 7 first, but it looked like the Panthers were going to score first. Unfortunately, a goal line stand and an interception stopped that from happening. The first goal would come in the second, Chase Brown rushing in for the touchdown for the Bengals. The Panthers responded shortly after with the Chuba Hubbard touchdown. This was followed by a Jamar Chase touchdown. Jamar sort of just refused to be tackled here. Then late in the second, the Panthers tied it back up. Then with no time left in the half at all, the Bengals took the lead right back. In the third, the Bengals would then start to pull away from the Panthers, extending their lead with another touchdown and a field goal, eventually extending their lead to 31-14. Very late in the third, the Panthers would score a touchdown and a field goal in the fourth, and that was it for them. The Bengals would then put the nail in the coffin with another field goal, bringing us to our final of 34-24. AD threw for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Ellen threw for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception as well. My main takeaway for this game is that the Panthers just need to work on tackling, because they just, their tackling is not good. I mean, there's a whole lot about the Panthers that just aren't good right now, but tackling was one thing that I noticed here. The Rams went to Chicago. I said that the Rams would win here, and that didn't happen. The Rams struck first after a whole lot of nothing in the first, putting up 3. Then in the second, the Bears would get the ball back on an awful interception, or so we thought. Jaquan Brisker had 1 foot out of bounds, so this was ruled an incomplete pass. This allowed the Rams to kick another boring field goal. About midway through the second, the Bears defense would come through with a big takeaway in Rams territory, allowing them to take the lead with a touchdown. With a minute left at the half, it looks like the Rams were going to take the lead back with another field goal, but it hooked hard left and the kick was no good. Then after some amazing plays by DeAndre Swift, the Bears would extend their lead with a kick. The Rams would then make it a 1-point game with another kick in the third. With about 2:40 left in the third, the Bears extended their lead with a touchdown, Caleb Williams connecting with DJ Moore here. To start the fourth, Kyren Williams would rush in for a touchdown. This becomes his 7th straight game with a touchdown. The Bears responded with the DeAndre Swift touchdown. The Rams could only respond with another field goal, leaving this game 24-14 with the Bears on top. I have to say, the Bears are starting to look a lot better. I had really hoped for Caleb Williams and the Bears to do well this season, and they're starting to deliver. Hopefully they can keep up this momentum. The Vikings went to Green Bay. I picked the Packers to win here purely out of spite, and with Jordan Love back behind center, I had my hopes high up, but the Vikings, they didn't let that last too long. The Vikings would score on the opening drive, setting the tone immediately. Then the Packers would get a strong drive going, but would have to settle with the field goal that doinks off the upright and falls no good. The Vikings would waste no time at all, cruising down the field to extend their lead by 7. Towards the end of the second, the Vikings were already leading 28-0. With 20 seconds left at the half, the Packers would finally get 7 up on the board. It seemed like the Vikings were going to walk down the field to put up yet another 7, but Xavier McKinney picked off Sam Darnold at the 1, making this McKinney's 4th interception grab in 4 games. Unfortunately, the Packers could not capitalize on this. The score would stay locked at 28-7 up until a Packers touchdown in the 4th. This is when a little bit of that hope came back to me. Then the Packers would get the ball back on a scoop and capitalize with a Tucker Kraft touchdown and a 2-point conversion, making it a 6-point game. The hope is now very much alive. The Packers make the Vikings settle for a field goal. That's okay. The Packers just need a touchdown to bring the game within 2, and never mind. With little to no time left, the Packers would finally get the touchdown they need, but it's a little too late. This game ends 31-29. The Vikings are now 4-0. It's crazy to say, but the Vikings are a juggernaut this season. I thought that they would struggle without Kirk Cousins behind center, but they proved me wrong, and Sam Darnold kind of just popped up out of nowhere. I have to say I'm really impressed with this team. The Jags came to Houston for another flag festival. This was my Texans get-right game. Now, knowing that the Vikings are just like that, I don't feel as bad for losing so horrifically against them. The Jags drew first blood after a muffed punt, gifting the Jags 1st and goal and a touchdown. The Texans responded with Stephon Diggs' first ever rushing touchdown. The Jags were able to take that lead back with another field goal. Then in the second, on 3rd and goal, Stroud finds Nico Collins for a touchdown, getting the lead right back. Then the Jags and the Texans would exchange kicks. The Jags then grabbed the lead with a touchdown at around midway through the 3rd quarter. They got close to extending that lead due to a blown cover by the Texans and a big run by Bigsby. Thankfully, the Texans were able to stuff them at the goal line. This game got down to the wire, and the Texans struggled with penalties all game. With 2 minutes and counting, CJ Stroud put together an amazing drive and was able to connect with Dare Ogunbowale for the walk-off touchdown. The Jags fall to 0-4 and are now the only team without a win this season. I am super happy that the Texans won, but the penalties have to stop. We constantly shoot ourselves in the foot, and it's honestly annoying to see. As of now, the Texans lead the league in penalties, and a good majority of that is Laramie Tunsil. He's an amazing player, and we absolutely need him, but he's also a false starting penalty machine, and we have to get him to cut that back. Now, it isn't all him, but a good chunk of it is him. He is now the most penalized player, I think, either in the NFL or at least on the Texans. Then the Steelers went to play the Colts. I said the Steelers would take the win here, and they lost to screw with me. I'm watching you, Steelers. The Colts scored first here. Then during their second drive, Richardson would run to get the first down but take a hard hit. Due to this, he would get pulled from the game, and old man Joe Flacco would enter the game and start to do his thing. He continued the drive and connected with Josh Downs for a touchdown, and then a field goal a little down the line to extend the Colts' lead. The score would stay 17-0 up until the end of the second, when the Steelers would put 3 on the board. At around midway through the third, Justin Fields would have a pretty funny sack interception thing. The score would stay 17-3 until on 3rd and goal with about 3 minutes left in the third, when Fields would run it in himself for the touchdown. Then in the fourth, both teams would exchange touchdowns. Then with the field goal, the Colts would extend their lead by 10. The Steelers would score a touchdown late in the game, and that would seal the Steelers' first loss, 27-24. Then the Broncos went to MetLife for an absolute snoozer of a game. Where do we even start? Bo Nix somehow managed to have negative 8 yards in the first quarter. Negative 8 passing yards in the first quarter. Negative 8 passing yards in the first quarter. The Jets would strike first with a field goal in the second, then extend that lead with the field goal early in the third. Then late in the third, Bo Nix would find Courtland Sutton for this game's only touchdown. The Jets could only respond with the field goal, only for the Broncos to respond with, you guessed it, another field goal. The Jets had a chance to kick back into the lead, but the kick was no good. Bo Nix ended this game with a total of 60 yards and 1 touchdown, and still somehow managed to beat Aaron Rodgers. The Eagles went to Tampa. I said the Buccaneers would win here, and a whole lot of you guys called me crazy. You guys doubted me. I was right, though. The Buccaneers would strike first with the Mike Evans touchdown, then extended that lead to 24. It wouldn't be up until late in the second that the Eagles would finally put up 7 on the board. It was also up until this point that the Eagles had a total of 0 yards. 0 net yard. How does a football team manage to get 0 yards through 2 quarters? What? Then to start the third, Saquon Barkley would make a 59-yard run, bringing the Eagles to the Buccaneers' 10. Then the Eagles would tush-push for a touchdown, making it 14-24. The Buccaneers responded with another touchdown, but the extra point was blocked and ran all the way back to the other side of the field, giving the Eagles 2 more points. After a whole bunch of madness, the Buccaneers managed to put 3 more up on the board, and that would just about do it. Baker Mayfield passed for 347 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. The Commanders went to Arizona. I said the Commanders would win this, and they did in dominating fashion. The Cardinals would score first, putting 7 on the board in their first possession. The Commanders responded by doing the exact same thing. In the second, Jeremy Nichols had a very impressive running touchdown, putting the Commanders in the lead. From here, the Commanders would build on that lead with a field goal, a Daniels rushing tutty, and another field goal. Very late in the third, the Cardinals would finally put up another 7 with James Conner. From here, the Cardinals would score 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, not necessarily in that order, to leave this game 42-14. The Pats went over to play the 49ers. I said the 49ers would win here, but honestly, that's kind of a no-brainer. The 49ers scored first, putting 3 on the board, then managed to get the ball back on a fumble. Rhamondre Stevenson now has fumbled for 4 consecutive games. This allowed the 49ers to put up another 3 points, then got the ball back again thanks to an interception. This one was ran in for a touchdown. The 49ers then extended their lead with another touchdown. Early in the third, the Patriots would finally get their first touchdown of the game, but the 49ers responded with one of their own. From here, the teams would exchange kicks to give us the final score of 30-13. Potentially a good year. I mean, that's like way past us, man. Potentially a good year, though. This game had a lot of hectic moments. Just fumbles and turnovers and scrambling for the ball absolutely everywhere. The Chiefs went to play the Chargers. I predicted the Chiefs to win here because they're the Chiefs, and they did. Honestly, this game was kind of, it was okay, I guess. The Chargers were able to capitalize and score first thanks to a fumble by Carson Steele. Then after an interception by Christian Fulton, the Chargers were able to build on that lead with a field goal. This interception also led to a really unexpected injury. After the ball was intercepted, Mahomes would lower his shoulders to tackle Fulton, and instead he would hit Rashee Rice, causing a pretty bad-looking knee injury. Rice was carted off the field, and his status is unknown at the moment. That would just about do it for Chargers scoring. From here, the Chiefs worked their way into the lead thanks to a touchdown by Xavier Worthy, a field goal in the third to tie it up, and another touchdown by Perine, and that would do it. Perine is a funny name. I can't say his first name, but Perine. I don't know if it's because it has P in it, but Perine. It also sounds like an ingredient or something like that. No, I can't eat that. It has too much Perine in it. I don't know. The Chiefs are now 4-0. Oh boy. The Browns went to Vegas to play the Raiders. I predicted a Raiders dub here and got it. The Browns struck first thanks to a touchdown and a field goal in the first. After a hard drive in the second, the Raiders got a touchdown of their own. From here, the Raiders would build on their lead to 20, making it a 10-point game near the end of the third. This would be it for the Raiders scoring, however. After this, the Browns would try to fight their way back, scoring a touchdown on a scoop and score, but the kick was no good, ending this game 20-16. Take me back, man. Take me back. The Bills went over to Baltimore and got absolutely destroyed, just demolished. I predicted the Bills to win here, and instead they got a taste of their own medicine. The Ravens struck first with an 87-yard Derrick Henry touchdown on their first possession, setting the tone very quickly. The Bills responded with a field goal. From here, the Ravens would up their lead to 21, leaving the score 21-3 up until the third, where the Bills scored with a Ty Johnson touchdown, making it 21-10. That's where the Bills decided to just stop scoring. From here, the Ravens would only inflate their lead to 35, making it 35-10, and that's where this game would get put away. After that, we were given 2 games for Monday Night Football. Starting us off, we had the Tennessee Titans playing the Miami Dolphins. I said the Dolphins would win here, and somehow, someway, the Titans managed to pull off their first win of the season. Early in the game, Levis would dive for a first down and injure himself, putting Mason Rudolph behind center and giving us our weekly Will Levis picture. Phenomenal stuff, really. Just like... keep going. The first score wouldn't come until early in the second, in which the Titans would get and extend the lead with a couple field goals. I'm telling you, a good chunk of this game was incredibly boring. After this, the teams would exchange field goals. We wouldn't see our first touchdown until about midway through the third, the Titans scoring with Tyjae Spears. The Titans then extended that lead to 22-6. The Dolphins would finally score a touchdown with 3:40 left in the game, making it 22-12. The Titans would then put 2 on the board thanks to a safety, then punch 2 more times late in the game to end this game at 31-12. I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans, after this game, decide to start Mason Rudolph over Will Levis from here on. After that, we had the Seahawks and the Lions. I said the Lions would upset the Seahawks, and thanks to Brandon Perna's curse wheel, that happened. The Lions drew first blood here with the David Montgomery touchdown. In the second, both teams would exchange touchdowns, the Lions scoring with Jahmyr Gibbs after a fumble recovery, the Seahawks getting their first points on the board, then the Lions extending their lead. The third quarter would see this battle continue, both teams exchanging touchdowns again, the Lions pulling away from the Seahawks every time they got closer. The third quarter also saw Jared Goff catch a touchdown pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Seahawks responded with a touchdown to cut the lead down to 8. Then the Lions punched back with a 70-yard touchdown by Jameis Williams. The Seahawks would score a touchdown with Kenneth Walker, and the Lions responded with a touchdown that wasn't called. Still a touchdown, no signal. Strange. To close out the scoring, the Seahawks would put 2 more on the board thanks to a safety. Jared Goff passed for 292 yards for 2 touchdowns. He went 18 for 18. He had no incompletions and no interceptions. He also caught a touchdown pass. 18 for 18, no interceptions, caught a touchdown pass. I am very confused on how that doesn't get you a perfect passer rating. Alright, that brings us to my week 5 predictions. We have a few teams that are going to be on a bye week, so this week will be a little bit shorter. You ready? Let's get into it.
Holy Toledo!
Starting us off Thursday, we have the Bucks taking on the Falcons. This one should be pretty good. I think maybe the Falcons take this one. Kirk has some weird voodoo. He's able to make games closer than expected and pull off some surprises, so I'm going Falcons here. Then we have the Jets and the Vikings playing in London, in it, bruv. I mean, the Vikings take this. They have to, right? I swear on everything, if the Vikings lose now, I will seethe. Then we have the Panthers taking on the Bears. This one, I don't even know. I'm gonna say the Bears take this, but I won't be surprised if Andy Dalton pops off against this team. Then we have the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm gonna say the Ravens take this one. Then we have the Bills going to Houston. I will be at this game. Last week, the football gods blessed us with the win. I'm hoping they continue to bless us. Then it's Colts-Jags. I see the Colts winning this one. After that, it's Miami versus the Pats. I see Miami here. Then we have the Browns going over to Washington. Washington takes that. Then we have the Raiders going to Denver. The Raiders need to take that. Then the Cardinals play the 49ers. I see the 49ers here, though they are still without CMC. It was revealed that he has Achilles tendonitis in both legs, which is just not good at all, especially for a running back. Then we have Packers-Rams. I see the Packers taking this. Then we have Giants-Seahawks. The Seahawks absolutely take this one. Then we have Cowboys and Steelers for Sunday night. I see the Steelers winning this one, getting back on the right track. Then for Monday night, the Saints play the Swifties. I'm gonna say the Saints upset here. Mahomes honestly hasn't been playing to the best of his ability, and now with Rice out, it just doesn't look good for them. Alrighty then, that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe here if you want to laugh at my predictions, if you want to hang out, spread some good vibes, just chill for a bit. Feel free to like the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, your predictions, tell me what you think is going to happen, tell me scores. I've had a lot of people say like, oh, I predict scores. I don't know how you do that. That seems like so pinpoint to me. That's so crazy that people do that. Share this video with your friends. I will see you guys all next week. Bye-bye. I want some cookies. I think Baker can bake me some cookies or a cake. Is cornbread technically baking? I want some cornbread. Ready? Let's get into it. Did I just dab? That was gross. Don't ever let me do that again. How could you?